How did Colombian private military contractors end up fighting in Sudan alongside the Rapid Support Forces, a force which has carried out widespread killings and rapes across Sudan? It all appears to start with a security company based in Abu Dhabi in the United Arab Emirates, a company that Human Rights Watch found links to the UAE's highest levels of government and apparently has been hiring the Colombian fighters. So why does this matter? Well, because it adds to mounting evidence that the UAE is providing military support to the RSF. Since the start of the war in Sudan in 2023, the RSF has been fighting the Sudanese military, vying for control of the country. In late 2024, videos emerged from the aftermath of an ambush in the desert of North Darfur, showing that Colombian military contractors had crossed into Sudan from Libya. We decided to investigate. Human Rights Watch spoke to Colombian private military contractors and residents of Darfur, amongst others. We also verified, analyzed, and geolocated multiple photos and videos. We found that Colombian military contractors were present in El Fasher, the capital of North Darfur, when the RSF went on a rampage there in October, killing thousands of civilians and raping women and girls. We also found evidence of Colombian contractors involved in the training of child soldiers by the RSF. Global Security Services Group, an Abu Dhabi-based security company, appears to have hired the Colombian contractors who were deployed to Sudan. The Colombian fighters transited through at least 2 UAE military facilities in the UAE before being deployed to Sudan. Looking through the videos, there was one that was crucial to our investigation. It was taken by a Colombian private military contractor while jogging. Even though we could see that the buildings looked similar to other UAE bases, and we could see a UAE flag, we still couldn't identify the location. But one thing that grabbed our attention was the white lines on the ground. So we built an AI model to scan the entire UAE for the same pattern of white lines using commercial satellite imagery. And it found the location. It was a UAE government facility in Al Wathba, a suburb of Abu Dhabi. This proved that the Colombian contractor was in a UAE government facility before being deployed to Sudan. While it's difficult to determine whether the UAE effectively controls the security company's operations, confirming that UAE military bases have been used to facilitate the training, transport, and deployment of the private military contractors suggests that the UAE authorities have direct involvement in the hiring of Colombian contractors to fight alongside the RSF. The conflict in Sudan has created the world's largest humanitarian crisis. At least 150,000 people have likely died as a result, and an estimated 12.9 million people have fled their homes. Since the war's onset, the RSF have committed widespread violations and abuses across the country. By providing support, including by hiring Colombian contractors, the UAE may be contributing to the RSF's capacity to commit war crimes and crimes against humanity. International actors, including the US, the UK, the EU, and UN Security Council members, should investigate and sanction GSSG, the security company apparently hiring the Colombian fighters. They should also put pressure on UAE authorities to immediately stop providing support to the RSF and to investigate all involved. An Abu Dhabi-based company with strong links to UAE authorities has apparently hired hundreds of Colombian military contractors before they were deployed to Sudan to support the RSF. One of the Colombian contractors with whom I spoke said that when he arrived in Abu Dhabi, he did not go through the regular passport control. He was sort of removed clandestinely, from the airport through the back, picked up immediately by by a van and taken to a military site. That's where he told me that he received military training by Emirati nationals before he was then, after 10 days, sent to Chad very briefly and then on to Sudan, to Niala. These Colombians merely stood by as RSF fighters carried out mass atrocities, killings of women, children, people with disabilities, some of the most atrocious crimes that Human Rights Watch has documented.
Officially, it's a private company, right?
Yeah.
But also in the report, it mentioned an instance where the company also helped the Ugandan army in an operation. And when asked, the Ugandan army said that they were acting on behalf of the UAE authorities. So is this private company an unofficial arm of the UAE government or the UAE authorities?
Global Security Services Group is an Abu Dhabi-based security company, an ostensibly private security firm. It was founded in 2016 by a man with the name of Ahmed Mohammed Al-Humairi, who at the time and still currently is the Secretary General of the UAE's presidential court. This kind of really, paints a picture of the very close relations between this company, its CEO, and UAE authorities.
Colombia has 72% of the population actively practicing spells and curses according to recent surveys, among the highest rates outside Africa. For decades, Colombia has been torn apart by drug cartels and civil conflict rooted in spiritual agreements. When 72% of a nation's population actively practices witchcraft, that creates legal rights for chaos in the natural dimension. Drug cartels actively employ witches and shamans to curse enemies and protect operations. They build altars at drug labs and perform rituals before major cocaine shipments, integrating supernatural and criminal enterprises. Colombian practitioners specialize in violence magic, revenge spells, and territorial control rituals. They work directly with drug cartels to curse law enforcement, with politicians to manipulate elections, and with businesses to destroy competition. The Colombian witchcraft system operates through established networks spanning from rural villages to major cities. These professional sorcerers maintain territorial control and client bases across the nation. Recent studies document that Colombian practitioners actively engage in blood covenants and demonic invocation ceremonies designed to enhance the effectiveness of drug trafficking and eliminate rivals through supernatural means. The spirit of spiritual warfare that has captured Colombia manifests as both supernatural violence and physical brutality, feeding off each other through active practitioner networks integrated with criminal organizations. When you travel to Colombia, you enter a territory where 7 out of 10 people actively practice supernatural manipulation. This creates an atmosphere where spiritual and physical violence are spiritually integrated through organized practitioner systems.